Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be why you need to heal from the relationship. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So first of all, what is healing? Healing is when you process things. You wrap your head around whatever it is, and you understand that there is work to be done. And in a narcissistic relationship, I will tell you right now, you, when you were in it, or perhaps you are still in it looking for an exit, you were doing a lot of things for the narcissist. But one thing you were not doing was healing. You see, each and every day you were in that relationship, you were being peppered with abuse, gaslighting, silent treatment, stonewalling, smear campaign, rage fits. You were experiencing verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, at times physical abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse. These things and so many more are what encompass the narcissistic relationship, which is why, as the thumbnail mentions, post-narcissistic relationship, you need to heal from that relationship. This was not your average run-of-the-mill relationship that you were thinking about. It wasn't like, let's say it was a romantic relationship. You were together for a period of time and then you broke up and you just moved on and you don't even think about that person any longer. These are stable or healthier relationships that you don't have to heal from. Using that example, perhaps some people you dated in the past, maybe things didn't end the best way, fair enough, but you didn't have to heal from them. What you had to do is you had to learn from them, and you had to not replicate or duplicate the mistakes or errors you made, or not tolerate the poor behavior that that other person displayed in the relationship. Or maybe the relationship you're thinking about was just an amicable ending, and it just ended okay. You have that cup of coffee and you move forward. But none of these things happen with the narcissistic relationship. The narcissistic relationship is something that, unless you have gone through it or experienced it, you literally cannot wrap your head around it, because the person, the toxic narcissistic person, they are many times like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And what happens is, to the exterior, to the world, to the outside world, they have their best image of them facing forward most of the time, not always, but this is when they bat their eyelashes. This is when they use their charm. This is when the rosy cheeks come out. This is when all the compliments take place. This is when they are trying to befriend you. They're trying to have you fall in love with them. They're trying to get close to you, because this is what the narcissist does. They try to get close to people to extract their resources, which again are your time, money, energy, effort, love, empathy, financial status, social circle, job, health, your soul, your being, your clarity. This is a really long list of things they try to take from you, and they do accomplish most of those things when you are in the relationship with them, until you end it or you are discarded, meaning ending the relationship or you are discarded. That's when a pivotal part of your life takes place. Let's say you were discarded, and again, if you were, my heart goes out to you. But if you were, what happened there is you were crumbled up like a sheet of paper, thrown away in the freeway, left for dead. Yes, you were. And you did not know what kind of relationship you were in, because who in their right mind would throw away an individual, a human being? I'll tell you who, a narcissist. That's exactly what they do. They go from person to person, place to place, relationship to relationship, leaving a wake of destruction in their path. Now, the narcissist, if they did discard you, you were in a very vulnerable place, even more vulnerable of a place than when you met them. Because I can assure you, when you met the narcissist, if you weren't born into a family of narcissism, that when you met them, you were in a vulnerable position. Maybe you just relocated, just started a new job, just moved into a new building, just struck up a friendship or joined a hobby group or community. And the narcissist saw this and they seized you as an opportunity. But when you were discarded, you figured out after a period of time, maybe a couple hours, maybe a day, maybe a week, that your whole support system has now imploded. It's blown up. And the people that claimed that they were your friends or would be there for you in times of need, they disappeared like cockroaches in the kitchen at midnight when you hit the light switch and you turn it on. They scattered everywhere. Some of them grabbed their popcorn and watched your life implode. Some of them sat on the sidelines in shock because they couldn't believe what happened, but yet they couldn't take action because maybe their spouse was a best friend with the narcissist. Who knows? Other people are toxic individuals themselves, and they just love to watch the drama. And then there are other people that didn't want to do anything or couldn't be there for you because they did not want to become the next target, because they too were one step away from the narcissist, or maybe they were in the immediate family of the narcissist. Who knows? But when this happened, a very interesting thing took place in your mind. You processed things. You began to slow your life down. You now had time. You had a huge void that you had to fill because you were no longer working for the narcissist. You were not running around paying bills, putting gas in the car, taking care of kids, the house, the rent, the mortgage, the dogs, the vacations, the bills. You weren't doing all those things anymore. Now you had to focus on yourself. And back then when you were discarded, you had no other choice because you were now isolated on purpose. That's where the narcissist placed you. Remember, when they discarded you, they did not think you would ever survive. They did not think you would ever put yourself back together. They did not 100% think that you would ever discover what narcissism was. But like I said, a funny thing happened along the way. You did figure it out. You put 2 and 2 together, and you deduced rather quickly after you were discarded that there's a thing called the trauma bond, and that perhaps you were in it as you were researching narcissism. That's exactly what happened with me. But when you did it, you had a mountain of work in front of you. You had to really slow things down and process. Number one, the narcissist never cared about you. Number two, they don't care about anybody but themselves. Number three, these people can't change. They only get worse over time. Number four, all they want to do is take advantage of you and your beautiful, bright, shining light and capture your energy for a period of time, which was the length of the narcissistic relationship. They wanted to extract each and every valuable asset and resource that you provided. Now, I mentioned what they were previously in the video, but you also had to wrap your head around that breaking free, breaking the shackles, the chains of the trauma bond would take a lot of work. It would take fortitude, strength, commitment, resilience, courage. It would take so much time to wrap your head around how this person who proclaimed they loved you and perhaps even married you, and you put a ring on the finger or vice versa, how they could turn out to be your worst nightmare. Because the dream eventually fades into a nightmare, slowly, insidiously, and usually it begins when you have a pivotal moment in your life, when you are with the narcissist. Example, when you profess to them that you love them, or you relocate with them, or you create a business, or start a family, or loan them money, or get them a job, or one of those big things, or all of them, is what tethered you to the narcissist in the past. And they looked at you and said, wow, this one really doesn't know their value, which is you. They really don't know their worth, they don't know their value, and they definitely don't know who I am and what I am about to do to them. But again, post-discard, you began to heal. You began to process things. You compared that relationship with other former romantic relationships or friendships or family relationships, and you couldn't figure out one thing. You couldn't figure out why this relationship, the ending of it, it hurt so much. It was so painful. You had carnal screams. You lost weight. You gained weight. You couldn't even turn a light switch on at one point. Yes, that's a true story. You couldn't figure out exactly why you were going through all these things. And then again, you wrapped your head around, wait a minute, this is the trauma bond. This is on purpose. I was manipulated. I was duped. I was tricked. I was trapped. I was taken advantage of. I was held in a prison-like mental and physical state in my own house. Because every time I would open the front door, I did not know if I would be greeted, if at all, by Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. I couldn't figure it out. But that's what the narcissist did. They took you really high and they dropped you really low on that roller coaster of emotions, on that spin wheel of abuse, on the deep, dark cesspool of manipulation. This is what they did. And many people, if you haven't gone through it, let me rephrase that. Most people, if you haven't gone through it, you can't wrap your head around it because, again, the person that you are thinking about, they were one person to the exterior world, but to you, that's where you were abused daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, perhaps even after decades, and you could not process what it was. You just thought, oh, this person's just having a bad day. Again, another 364 bad days out of a 365-day year. But you tolerated the poor behavior. You didn't quit. You kept on working for the relationship and working for the narcissist. All of your resources were becoming decimated and depleted. You were putting the narcissist as the priority way back then. You weren't even on the list of the priority. The list was probably number 1 through 100. It was all narcissist or whoever they wanted you to pump up or to help. And then you were way down on the list. That's why your health took a hit, and your finances, and your status, social circle, your confidence, your belief in humanity, your belief in yourself. All of these things were on purpose, because the truth of the matter is the narcissist is a low vibrational individual. They're a person who vibrates lower than below your shoe, and they know it. But what they do is they capture beautiful, bright, shining lights like yourself or myself, and they keep us trapped in that zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog, where we are being devalued each and every day. And the reason they can do that is because most likely you told them you loved them, or moved in with them, or that perhaps it's a parent, a mom or a dad, and they said, hey, we're your parents, you owe us, you have to stick around here, you can't go anywhere, what are you talking about? And that's why throughout those relationships, let's talk about the parent for a minute. Maybe it's your mom who is a toxic, narcissistic individual. Well, what does she do with you? She probably guilts you into go visiting her during the holidays when you know that her behavior is only getting worse year in and year out, and something will have to give. One of these years, you're gonna have to say no. One of these years, you're gonna have to stand up for yourself. One of these years, you may even have to block her. One of these years, you're gonna have to realize what is the priority in life. Is it making them happy by them dumping abuse on you? Or is it you going no contact, blocking them, deleting them, removing all fly monkeys and people associated with them, and healing? Maybe even your whole family's full of toxicity. I can't tell you. What I can tell you is whenever you communicate with somebody, if you're feeling anxious or you're like, oh my gosh, this person again, or when you hang up the phone, you just feel like you had 5,000 pounds of toxicity dumped on you and the other person is laughing and singing and they just hang up on you because, why? Because they just switched the energy with you. They took your beautiful, bright, shining light and they changed it for their toxicity. They dumped their darkness into you and they stole your energy. This is what an energy vampire does. This is what a toxic narcissist does. This is what a person that doesn't care about you does. Play this message, play it often. There are so many people on the planet who are becoming awakened and aware, educated and empowered, and they're understanding that they are the priority, that they come first, second, and third. They no longer are putting other people high in the pedestal. They're no longer dropping whatever they want or are doing to better somebody else. They're becoming the educated empath, which means just because they have resources, in this case specifically empathy, doesn't mean they have to give it to somebody. Doesn't mean they have to be a sounding board and listen to somebody dump all their problems on them week in and week out. And it doesn't mean that just because somebody calls, you have to answer. It doesn't mean just because somebody emails you, you have to respond. It doesn't mean because somebody texts you, you have to answer them either. This is what the narcissist wants. Remember, the narcissist wants to keep people on the hook. They do not want to give people closure. They do not want to give people hope. They do not want to give people belief in themselves. They never want people to know their value and their worth. That's why being in these narcissistic relationships, these are the most challenging relationships known to humankind to be in, especially when you're in it. Because when you're in it, many times you can't see it because you're in it too deep. You're in that zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog. You know there's a way out, but you don't know where you are and you don't know how to get out. It is a very, very challenging experience to go through. But why you have to heal from the relationship, I'll tell you why. Because if you compare all those past relationships that you were in, stable or healthier relationships, usually those people entered your life for a period of time and they came and they went, and you don't really think about them anymore. Sometimes maybe you'll encounter a person and they're like, wait, hey, remember me from high school? And you're like, actually, no. Well, my name is so-and-so. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember you. That's because that person was probably a harmless person, or you don't really think about them, because why would you? You're living in the present moment. At least that's my hope you are. But when you exit a narcissistic relationship and people are around you telling you, just get over it, just move on, what's the big deal? It's been a couple months, it's been 2 years, it's been 3 years, like what's the big deal? Just go meet other people. You're like, wait a minute, you don't get this. You don't understand my language. You don't know what I'm going through. You can't wrap your head around it. And this happens day in and day out all over the planet. Because what you need to be doing is healing. You don't need to be told what to do. And if somebody is telling you, hey, just move on, what's the big deal? Get over it, just fall in love again or just meet somebody. And you're like, what are you talking about? I don't get, if that's you, first of all, drop comments below if that was you or it is you. It definitely was me. But second of all, you need to understand the people that you're talking with. I'm not saying they're not good people. They just can't understand narcissism because they didn't go through it themselves. And if that's the case, I would really conserve your energy and watch what you communicate with them about, meaning they're not going to be able to talk about narcissism because they didn't experience it and they can't understand it. It's like a completely foreign, different language to them, and they will never understand it. They could read all the books in the world, they could watch all the videos, and they can say they know it, but if they don't go through it, they're not going to get the message. Maybe they'll get a little bit of information or wisdom. That's definitely possible, but they don't know what it's like living in your head. They don't know what it was like being with the narcissist for 1 day, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade. They have no idea, because the version of the narcissist that they saw was the image, it was the mask. The version that you saw was the darkness. It was the Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, whichever one of those people is the not good person. That's what you saw. That's what you experienced. and all of the verbal abuse and mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse, all of this adds up over time. It is an insidious relationship that you must heal from. You must slow your life down and understand that nobody is going to come knocking on your door. Nobody, unless they went through the relationship or a similar one, is going to be able to wrap their head around it. And that you really need to have boundaries. You're going to have to learn to say no, the strongest word in the English language. You're going to have to not be a people pleaser, not be a yes person, become an educated empath and have boundaries and understand that if somebody is peppering you with abuse, even now or in the future, or they're giving you a under the cuff or backhanded comment, there's something behind that. Think about it. Do you want me to tell you what it is? I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's they're insecure or they're a toxic person, maybe even a narcissist. But if they're saying little things to you like, oh, you look great today, but not as good as that, like, this is not good. You don't have any more energy for people to be tearing you down. What you have energy for is to insulate yourself, protect yourself, and have people around you that are like-minded and that want to build you up. Understand what I'm sharing with you. So healing from the relationship, if you were in a relationship with anybody, no matter who it is, and you can't quite move forward, you feel like you're stuck and you're not sure what's going on, that means you have healing to do. That's what I had to do. I had to put myself back together. I had to dust myself up by the bootstraps and rise through the ashes like a phoenix when, I will tell you right now again, not one person checked in on me. It's amazing how what people will say and what their actions won't match up with their words. On top of that, many people, they get the wisdom that I provide for you on the channel, and they apply the wisdom, and they're healing, they're learning, they're growing, they're teaching, they're becoming awakened and aware. They're reaching the pinnacle of indifference, the mountaintop of indifference, when you don't care about the narcissist any longer or anybody from that period of time. You say, God bless you, just stay away from me. Just stay away from me. Now, why I'm sharing those things, it's very simply in a nutshell. If the relationship that you're thinking about right now or throughout this video was a toxic relationship and you know that you had to do work, you had to take notes, or you had to research something on the internet, or you had to watch videos and look for a certain topic that you did not even know existed, i.e. narcissism, that means that you were in a relationship that wasn't good. It was with an energy vampire, a toxic person who tried to take you down for the count, but they failed. And they failed miserably, like they fail at everything in life. And the reason they failed is because you're here, you're getting the wisdom, you are applying the tools, you're becoming educated, and you're beginning to realize your value and your worth. The narcissist, all they are going to do is slither away to another unsuspecting person or to a recycled person who hasn't found the wisdom, or maybe they're toxic themselves. That's what they're going to do. The whole idea of this video on the channel is to insulate you, protect you, to get you to know that if I did it, which means break the trauma bond, and healed, you can do it too. It will take time. It will take a lot of time, but in time, in your time, you will heal. You need to get this message. Play this video and play it often. This is not an average relationship that you can just jump into another relationship from. You have a lot of processing to go through. You have a lot of research to dig up. You have a lot of understanding to go through. This is not like a very simple injury. Say you broke a bone in your arm and you go to the doctor and it gets reset and in 6 weeks you're fine. It doesn't work that way. The healing path is not linear. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. You'll have some great days. You'll have some challenging days, and you'll have a whole bunch of days in between. You'll have sleepless nights. Maybe even you'll experience the dark night of the soul. Maybe you will even be pushed to the threshold that you're going to lose so much weight or gain so much weight or not want to leave your house for a long period of time. Maybe not want to get out of bed. These are all signs and indications that the relationship you were a part of, you need to heal from it. You can't just go forward and put a Band-Aid on it and hope that time will cure the relationship or the wound. Time won't do it. Time will help you, but you're going to have to really do a deep dive and process this. That is exactly the path. That's what I did. That's what you must do. So again, play this video, play it often, and pay it forward to anybody who could use the knowledge and the wisdom. This is why you have to heal from the relationship, because if you don't, you will have a very challenging time going forward. Let's put it like that. So guys, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. God bless you. I love you. You are not alone. Remember that. Again, I will say this before I close the video. If you're in an average or healthy or stable relationship, you don't really have much to heal from. There are things to learn from, and maybe your partner or somebody passed away. I get it. Well, you process that, you grieve, and You put yourself back together and you honor and cherish the time that you had with them. In a narcissistic relationship, post-relationship, you have to heal. You have to understand that this person did not have your best interest at heart. Not then, not now, and they never will. And that they're doing this with another person right now, wherever they are gallivanting the globe. The whole purpose of this message, this video, is to empower you and let you know that you are beautiful. You are an abundant, bright, shining light. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, bye, you guys.